ABC comedy show Tonightly is under fire for mocking the religion of our new Prime Minister. The program aired a sketch with two comedians connecting Scott Morrison's religious beliefs with the government's refugee policy.
Hello, I'm Paul Barry. Welcome to mediawatch. And better late than never for the ABC's Tonightly. Ahead of its final show this Friday, it's managed to get some attention by taking the piss out of the new Prime Minister with this parody last Monday.
Scott Morrison could not be more Christian, right? Every act he does is so Christian.
2, 3, 4.
Jesus made the animals like kangaroos, and he also said to lock the kids up on Nauru.
I am Jesus' son.
And I'm Jesus' daughter, and there's nothing more Christian than closing the borders.
We love Jesus,
Jesus, but not refugees. If you want to win votes, then you got to stop votes.
To do what pleases Jesus, deny them all visas, and you can't get more Christian than that.
And the blowback from the usual ABC critics was fierce. Not the next day, mind you, or even the day after. In fact, not until the Daily Telegraph needed a front page on Thursday did outrage bubble over.
Religious furor.
The ABC of bad faith.
And there's no better way to start a front-page attack than with the S word.
Sneering broadcasters led by primetime ABC stars who rail against Islamophobia are using taxpayer-funded airtime to shamelessly ridicule, mock and openly question the faith and religious convictions of Prime Minister Scott Morrison.
Primetime ABC stars? Not really. Tonightly went out at 9:40 p.m. on the ABC's Comedy Channel with just 26,000 viewers across the nation. And who were the other blasphemous blowhards? Well, the telly pointed to, quote, ABC fangirl Dee Madigan, who disgracefully said on Twitter, not on TV,
I guess a church where they speak in tongues is good practice for politics.
But as Madigan pointed out, she doesn't work for the ABC and spends most of her TV time on News Corp's Sky News, which did not get a mention. And the other so-called primetime ABC star was retired broadcaster Mike Carlton, now in his 70s, who the telly said mocked the PM for his Christianity by tweeting this.
It's okay, because he's a Christian.
Carlton hasn't worked at the ABC for 2 decades, and there were no other culprits. So what did others reckon of the ABC skit, apart from the usual suspects like Andrew Bolt, Ray Hadley and Paul Murray? Well, few are outraged, even if they write for the telly.
It's clearly satire, it's clearly comedy, and it's very reasonable to point out what you see as hypocrisy between a PM's or a politician's personal beliefs and what they do publicly. That's fine, that's always been the case. 10's Angela Bishop was also not bothered.
I don't think Scott Morrison's going to be particularly fazed by that in any shape, way or form.
So, was the new PM offended? Certainly not enough for that front page screamer.
The ABC can be numpties every now and then, but my faith teaches me to love each other and to turn the other cheek.
And speaking of our new Prime Minister, he's had a busy week, using the media to help him remake his image. Starting with a mercy dash to Queensland to fix the drought, but with a warning he was going to break from tradition.
I don't have a Cobra, mate, so I'll just have to wear my Sharks hat. That's all right.
Okay. And true to his word, with cameras in tow, he did just that.
The new Prime Minister flying into drought country, preferring surf cap to a Cobra.
I don't look as good at one of those.
Not since Paul Keating has anyone dared defy the bush trip dress rule. Not Malcolm, not Kevin or Julia, not Tony, and certainly not John or Bob. And not surprisingly, the PM's choice ran into flack from some city slickers.
I don't think the baseball cap really works in the bush unless you're a hip-hop artist.
And from Melbourne's 3AW came some, surely, tongue-in-cheek advice.
If you're a dinky-die, ridgy-didge Australian politician, you want to wear a hat and you don't want to wear a Cobra, wear a terry toweling hat like Max Walker used to wear in the cricket.
Is he serious? Who knows? But things soon got better because by Thursday our latest PM was taking a leaf out of the Hawke Howard playbook and showing his sporting prowess by proving he can run, pass and catch, hit the barbecue and hold a press conference in footy kit without looking totally ridiculous.
If you don't like what Westpac's done, go to another bank. They can make those decisions, but they're accountable for those decisions.
And on Sky News, Kieran Gilbert was quick to get the message.
These images of Scott Morrison today in the Sutherland Shire throwing the footy around, the jersey on for Jersey Day tomorrow for the organ donation, but it's something, playing touch footy that you wouldn't have seen Malcolm Turnbull do.
But it all paid off with this headline on his local news site, which appeared online in the Telegraph as well.
Prime Minister Scott Morrison, the Prime Minister for footy.
So, what's the name of the game? Well, it's all about humanising our leader and making clear he is not Mr Harbourside Mansion. And you have to say, he does look more of a natural than his predecessor. Here's Malcolm Turnbull shooting hoops in Perth last year. And here he is turning down a good old Aussie sausage sandwich.
Really, that's lovely, very kind of you. But I think I'm running around a bit much to be eating that, but that's very good of you. So thank you. Now, what a great job you're doing.
You wouldn't see Prime Minister Morrison, with his background in marketing, doing that. He knows the power of an image. And while he's not yet seeing a honeymoon in the polls, he's certainly been having one in the media, especially with News Corp.
ScoMo a go-go!
Our new pie-eating, footy-loving PM.
But also with Fairfax's Sun Herald, which told readers last weekend...
Normal bloke next door is what Australia needs.
And assured us that Scott's neighbours reckoned he was...
humble.
Lovely.
There for the average Joe.
And tonight, the new PM hosted a Current Affairs Tracy Grimshaw with a tour of the family home, a Meet the Wife, and a sit-down interview. And of course, like all average Joes, he has a nickname, ScoMo, which even the ABC has adopted, although this familiarity was met with scorn from a previous head of ABC News, among others.
ScoMo? His name is Scott Morrison. Give the cutesy ScoMo garbage a break. You're the ABC, not New Idea.
And there was similar reaction at Fairfax, where staff received a memo banning the use of the nickname in print or online stories. And out on the right, one Conservative critic also took aim at the cutesy moniker.
I don't think it's proper for the Prime Minister to be calling himself ScoMo.
He's just trying to soften his image, like, say, someone going to the jungle or something like that.
And to cap it all off, who did Mr Morrison choose for his first live one-on-one and a nice cosy chat?
Australia's an incredible country, and listening to your program, you just find out how good Australians are.
Yes, believe it or not, he ignored the current affairs shows and made a beeline for Macca on ABC's Australia All Over. But luckily, not everyone was blinded by the warm and fuzzy stuff, and Andrew Bolt was there to remind us that even the best honeymoons don't last forever, telling ScoMo and his readers...
Scott Morrison has just 10 days to prove he's not just the accidental Prime Minister, a more suburban Turnbull, but still headed for Turnbull's cliff.
Yes, we'll see how it goes, but it looks like Scott's going to need all the media marketing expertise he can muster. But now to Ramsay Street and the 30-year-old saga that is Neighbours, in which Dr Carl has recently become curious about his family and where they came from.
But then I think of the girls and you and Liz. It just makes me wonder who else is out there.
Sounds like you found yourself a project.
Problem is, there's nothing online about Ron or anyone else.
Oh, have you tried Ancestry?
What? Should I?
Yes! Donald Cheng at school is addicted. You should hear him going on about it at lunchtime. He reckons he's part Viking.
Okay, worth a try, I guess.
Yes, definitely worth a try. And as Dr Carl discovers later in the episode, Ancestry makes it all so easy.
Well, they give you hints. See these little green leaves?
Yeah.
You click on one of those. It takes you to options to find other people you could be related to. But they don't show the name or the age or the location of anyone living. It's just one huge puzzle waiting to be solved.
Wow, indeed. Now, this is not the only product placement you'll find on Neighbours nowadays. You might have noticed Carl searching his family tree on a particular brand of laptop. And Toadie is very fond of his fancy digital assistant, which also gets written into the plot.
Lyra, what appointments does Sonia have tomorrow?
Sonia's calendar is empty.
This sort of integrated advertising with characters engaging with brands is becoming increasingly blatant in the ancient soap, which now watches out on Channel 11. But the deal with Ancestry has pushed the boundary further than ever, as fans on the podcast Neighbours observed.
Carl's obviously flicking through the webpage and shows the pricing structure for Ancestry as well. And that's when you just know, yeah, this is possibly the most transparent product placement in Erinsborough history. And yet, sure enough, we get to an ad break, ad for ancestry.com.au.
Yep, embedded ads followed by actual ads, just to reinforce the message. Ancestry is a billion-dollar multinational with aggressive marketing tactics, and in Australia their ads are everywhere, including a partnership with the SBS program, Who Do You Think You Are? But the deal with Neighbours is still a landmark. Multiple scenes in multiple episodes plugging the brand as part of the story.
Hi, I got a couple of messages through Ancestry. I got a response to my message on Ancestry.
So that makes me your half-sister. A sister. That's better than we thought.
Yeah, I should have remembered the DNA between cousins and siblings can be very similar.
Neighbours does not disclose the commercial partnership with Ancestry in the credits, and there's no requirement for it to do so. So, what do the fans make of it? Well, it didn't bother some we spoke to, but others were not happy.
I think that it sucks. They shouldn't be advertising on the show. There's already so many ads. It ruins the experience.
So what does Neighbours producer Fremantle Media have to say? It told MediaWatch that plugging Ancestry was a perfect fit for the story.
Brand integration is only considered for Neighbours when there is an organic, editorially relevant fit for a brand within a storyline. The creative integrity of the program and the authenticity of the storyline are always our top priority.
Yeah. So, can we expect more of it? You bet. Unless Neighbours viewers tell them loudly they've had enough or just switch off. Because, as you can imagine, the brands just love it. And finally, to AFL Mad Melbourne, where simply walking into AFL HQ can be front page news.
TV host advises on rules.
Exclusive.
The AFL has consulted TV presenter Waleed Ali as part of its investigation of the state of the game.
As the Herald Sun recently reported, academic turned commentator and broadcaster Waleed Ali had joined former football greats to be sounded out about potential new AFL rules, adding in a tweet that Ali had been
handpicked by the AFL to consult on proposed rule changes.
Ali's qualifications are that he's a passionate Richmond Tigers supporter and occasional sports commentator on programmes like the ABC's Offsiders. But he's also famous for his outspoken views on politics and Islam. And that made some AFL fans livid and brought vicious attacks on Twitter, which were led by former cricketer Shane Warne.
Please tell me this is fake news and that this arrogant cretin is in no way involved on any level.
We think he meant cretin, and to write only one way. But his tweet was shared or liked almost 3,000 times, and the Herald Sun story posted on Facebook unleashed a similar torrent of abuse.
Maybe Ali will change the game by introducing a suicide vest instead of red one for injured players.
If they did invite the maggot, they should have given him a pig.
And Andrew Bolt then joined the pile-on in his Herald Sun blog.
I am also a Richmond fan and TV presenter who has never played AFL. If I convert to Islam, will I be consulted too?
So, what does Waleed have to say about his secret game-changing advice? Simply,
this story's just wrong. This didn't happen.
But how can that be? It was in the paper. Is it really not true?
I was offered the opportunity to go to a media briefing that the AFL were doing for lots of people in the media.
Turns out there were dozens. And was he handpicked to be consulted on the rule changes? No again.
They weren't interested in my views on anything. I didn't advise anybody on anything.
So, nothing like the story that the Herald Sun beat it up to be. But what about the reaction, which the story was surely designed to provoke? Well, even Mark Robinson, the Hun's chief footy writer, was appalled.
The vitriol directed at Waleed Ali was shameful. The response hit all the hot buttons for hate commentary. AFL, rules, Waleed, Muslim, smug, intellectual. The hatred was unfair and immense.
And another News Corp sports writer, the Australian's Peter Layla, also called it out and also likened it to the torrent of abuse that champion Swans player Adam Goodes copped in his career.
It's not because Waleed Ali is brown. It's not even because he is Muslim. It is because he is all of the above and opinionated as well.
It was shameful stuff, all right, provoked by a misleading story. And as Fox Sports and ABC Outsiders host Kelly Underwood observed,
I think it's absolutely outrageous that you just make stuff up and slap it on the front page and just to sell newspapers.
While all this was happening and Ali being attacked, another AFL loudmouth was on his own anti-Muslim rant.
There's 600,000 Muslims in Australia. They share no common interest with what we're on about. They don't. They have no common values. They preach to a different deity, God. Yep. They don't generally nationalise, they colonise.
So, did Sam Newman match Waleed and make the front page of the Herald Sun? Strangely, no. He didn't make it into the paper at all. And there's more about tonight's stories on our Facebook page or our website, where you can read a transcript and download the programme. And don't forget Media Bites on your favourite social media platform every Thursday. But for now, until next week, that's it from us. Goodbye.